We have a songbook, or you know the words? I know the words, but do you know the words?
Some of them may not know.
Yeah. This is a nice song by Govinda Das. Prabhupada has appreciated it because he says, in this bhajan, both sides are given. That is the author, Govinda Das, he shows us the pitfalls of material life, and then he presents the solution, Shravanam Kirtana Vishnu. Vajahure mana, Shinandanandana, Abhaya Charanada Vindare. Vajahure mana, Shinandanandana, Abhaya Charanada Vindare. Dulabha manava janama satsange. Dulabha manava janama satsange. Taro e baba sindure. Taro e baba sindure. Sita tapa batavari sana edina jamini jagire. Sita tapa batavari sana edina jamini jagire. Vifale sevinu kripana dorajana. Vifale sevinu kripana dorajana. Tapala sukalava lagire. Tapala sukalava lagire. Idana yovana pucha parijana eteke ache para titire. Dana yovana uchapari jana eteke ache para titire. Kamala jala jala jivana talamala. Kamala jala jala jivana talamala. Pajaho hari pada nitire. Pajaho hari pada nitire. Translation. I can't read. That's
O
right.
mind, just worship the lotus feet of son of Nanda,
Who's the son of
which
Nanda?
Lord Krishna,
Go ahead.
which makes one fearless, having obtained this rare human birth, cross over this ocean of worldly existence through the association of saintly persons. Both in the day and night, I remain sleepless, suffering the pains of the heat and cold, the wind and the rain. For the fraction of flickering happiness I have uselessly served wicked and miserly men. What assurance of the real happiness is there in all of one's wealth, youthfulness, sons, and family
Haribol.
members? This life is tottering like a drop of water on the lotus petal. Therefore, you should always serve and worship the divine feet of Lord Hari. It is a desire and great longing of Govind Das to engage himself in the nine processes of the bhakti, namely hearing the glories of the Lord Hari, chanting those glories, constantly remembering him and offering prayers to him, serving the Lord's lotus feet, serving the Supreme Lord as a servant, worshipping him with flowers and incense and so forth, serving him as a friend and completely offering the Lord one's very self.
Jai Govinda Das.
Jai.
Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. O Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Om Jnanatimidandasya Janagana Salakaya Chakshusmiritam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Tapitam Jena Bhutale Trayam Rupa Kadamaya Dadati Sva Parantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yata Parakamala Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagajatan Saganak Raganatan Vitam Sasriyam Arvarutam Parishna Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karana Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopisha Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwanu Stuta Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpa Taruvascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaevacha Tanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadadha Vasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We're reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3. What is it? Chapter? Third chapter. It's sloka number 14. Thank you. Can't see too good. Kiyan bhavoyam shapit turubaro. Kiyan bhavoyam shapitorubaro. Yadrona Bhishma Arjuna Bhima Mulaya. Yadrona Bhishma Arjuna Bhima Mula. Astadashak Sho Kiniko Mad Anisire. Astadishak So Hiniko Mad Amsire. Aste balam dhruva shaham yarunam. Aste balam dhruva shaham yudahibdam. Somebody want to try? Yadona Bhishma Arjuna Bhima Malaya. Stadakasho Kinino Madam Sai. Aste Balam Dhuvasham Yudana. Yan Bhuvayam Kashipatarobaro. Yadrona Bhishma Arjuna Bhima Malaya. Astakashadma Vidinodam Say. Aste Balam Dhruva Sham Yulolam. Sabhuvoyam Kasipito Tururo. Yadrona Bhishma Arjuna Bhima Mulaya. Astadakaro Nikiko Mulosaya. Aste. Mataji's? Kiyan Ruvoyam Kashipo Teruyo. Yajona Bhishma Arjuna Bhima Mulaya. Savarano Kiko Mahodayastaya. Kiyan. What is this? Bhuva. Of the earth. Ayam. This. Shapita. Abated. Uru. Very great. Baraha. Burden. Yat. Which? Drona. Drona. Bhishma. Bhishma. Arjuna. Arjuna. Bhima. Bhima. Mulaya. With the help. Astadasa. 18 Akshohini, phalanxes of military strength. Maram Sire, my descendants, Aste, are still there. Balam, great strength. Durvasaham, unbearable. Yaduna, of the Yadu dynasty. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. After the battle of Kurukshetra, the Lord said, the abatement of the earth's great burden, 18 Akshohinis, has now been effected with the help of Drona, Bhishma, Arjuna, and Bhima. But what is this? There is still a great strength of the Yadu dynasty, born of myself, which may be a more unbearable burden. Report. It is a wrong theory that due to the increase in population, the world becomes overburdened, and therefore there are wars and other annihilation processes. The earth is never overburdened. The heaviest mountains and oceans on the surface, on the face of the earth, hold more living entities than there are human beings, and they are not overburdened. If a consensus were taken of all the living beings on the surface of the earth, certainly it would be found that the number of human beings is not even 5% of the total number of living beings. If the birth rate of human beings is increasing, then the birth rate of other living beings is increasing proportionately. The birth rate of lower animals, beasts, aquatics, birds, etc., is far greater than that of human beings. There is an adequate arrangement for food for all of the living beings all over the earth by the order of the Supreme Lord. And He can arrange more and more if there is actually a disproportionate increase of living beings. Magyana, we said. So here we see, Prabhupada's making the point that this whole push to have birth control is not actually necessary. What's required is we have Krishna conscious people, and their children won't be a burden, they'll be an asset. And Mother Earth will be happy to have them. So then the question is raised, then why does Krishna want to remove His own descendants? So that's a good question. Prabhupada is going to explain in the purport. Therefore, there is no question of an increase in population causing a burden. The earth became overburdened due to dharma glani, or irregular discharge of the Lord's desire. The Lord appears on the earth to curb the increase in miscreants and not the increase in population, as it is wrongly put forward by the mundane economist. When Lord Krishna appeared, there had been a sufficient increase in miscreants who had violated the desire of the Lord. So this is the definition of miscreant, is that we defy the order of the Lord. So what is the order of the Lord? That's given to us in Bhagavad Gita, that everything should be done for His pleasure. So what is His pleasure? Therefore we need Guru and Shastra and sadhus to help us understand. But people don't like this idea that we have to learn from the Shastra. They rather speculate and learn in their own way, pick something here, pick something there. But we say, no, everything is there in these three authorities. So we should acquaint ourselves sufficiently with these authorities, and then there won't be any overburden of the earth. Everybody will be cooperating together for the pleasure of the Lord. This is the goal of our Krishna conscious movement, to get everyone to understand this principle that we're by constitution meant to serve the Lord. That we're the particle, amsa. Krishna tells us, right, in the 15th chapter, is it? Mama amsa, that we're particles of Him. And that if we devote our time to pleasing Him, then we'll be in perfect harmony. And we could have billions of people, who even billions and billions more. But if everybody had this consciousness, then there would be no burden. That's the idea. Material creation is meant for fulfilling the desire of the Lord. And His desire is that the conditioned souls who are unfit to enter into the kingdom of God have a chance to improve their condition for entering. So the whole purpose of the creation is to give the renegade or rebellious souls a chance to correct their false ego of putting themselves in the center and put God in the center. So this is the mission of the Lord, especially Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or all incarnations, are coming here to give us directions how we can put the Lord in the center. Ishavashyam. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us the most effective method. Harinam, Harinam, Harinam eva kevalam. Kalu anasteva, nasteva, nasteva gati anyataha. That in this Kali Yuga, there is no other method as effective as the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama. So we don't have to change our position, but we have to change our consciousness. Instead of trying to fulfill our desires, we should find out what Krishna wants of us. This is the whole thing in a nutshell. If we can please the Lord, but then you're taking it away from me. Ho ho. That's okay, but you see, then I lose it. It goes away from me. So how do I get it close to me? Yeah, so you're back where we started. The material creation is meant for... We said that. I think better, I'll deal with it. The entire process of cosmic arrangement is intended, we said that, to give the conditioned souls a chance to again enter into the kingdom of God. And there is an adequate arrangement for their maintenance by the nature of the Lord. Just like here, people were in India, I see population has increased, over 1 billion people, right? But still, there's less social unrest than there is in America. Because people know how to live together. They can tolerate each other better. Whereas in America, their false ego is prominent. Of course, when Prabhupada came, it was a good time for him to come because there was a rebellion against the status quo. And like the hippies, their mood was that we're not going to go along with the so-called arrangement. And they were looking for something new. So Prabhupada came right at the right time, and he collected us. I was also kind of a hippie, although I was a little older. I wasn't a full-fledged hippie. But we had long hair and smoked marijuana and all these things. But Prabhupada took us up. But now the preaching in America is difficult. Because people think, no, we're the best and we don't need to, change. This is the disease. The disease is, I'm happy with the status quo. So with that mentality, we can't make spiritual progress. We have to understand we're in an awkward position. What is that awkward position? Yes, we have to grow old, become diseased, and die. And they'll say, oh, that's nature. Yes, it's nature, but it's material nature. We belong to the spiritual nature, where we have eternal life, knowledge, and bliss. So why not come on the spiritual side? This is the mood of the preacher, to get people to understand that they're not in such a wonderful position. Like we were on Harinam, and we had a table, and we were singing, and the one devotee was giving people brochures and books and trying to sell them. Everybody was saying, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay, I'm okay. This is the mentality. Everybody thinks they're okay. We say, no, you're not okay. You're in trouble. You're not meant to get old and diseased and die. You're meant to have eternal life, full of knowledge and bliss. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it's gone somewhere. It's okay, I don't need it. You moving this again? Therefore, although there may be a great increase in population on the surface of the earth, if the people are exactly in line with God consciousness, they are not miscreants and are not miscreants. Such a burden on the earth is a source of pleasure for her, the earth. There are two kinds of burdens. There is a burden of the beast and the burden of love. The burden of the beast is unbearable, but the burden of love is a source of pleasure. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes the burden of love very practically. He says that the burden... What are we translating? No. I thought I heard a tape. He said that the burden of the husband on the young wife, so this is a burden for the young wife, the husband. The burden of the child on the lap of the mother, that's another burden for the ladies. And the burden of wealth on the businessman, although actually burdens from the viewpoint of heaviness, are sources of pleasure. And in the absence of such burdensome objects, one may feel the burden of separation, which is heavier to bear than the actual burden of love. Just like a woman has a nice child, if the child dies, then she feels so much pain, right? So much agony that her child has untimely died. So that burden of separation is worse than the burden of taking care of the child. There's some burden to take care of the child, a lot of burden. When I see them, I think, oh my God, I'm glad I took sannyas. The parents have so much, you can say, so much responsibility, so much care they have to give. They have to watch the little 2-year-old child. The mother has to watch every moment. They're going to cause disturbance. So it's a very difficult burden, too much for me. But the other side is, Prabhupada is making, it's a burden of love. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So the mother doesn't feel that this is something she wants to be without. And rather, if she's suddenly, the burden is taken away, then she feels so unhappy. She's crying. The large number of family members born of Lord Krishna counted to some millions, and were certainly a great increase in the population of the earth. But because all of them were expansions of the Lord Himself, by His transcendental plenary expansion, they were a source of great pleasure for the earth. When the Lord referred to them in connection with the burden of the earth, on the earth, He had in mind their imminent disappearance from the earth. All the members of the family of Lord Krishna were incarnations of different demigods, and they were to disappear from the surface of the earth, along with the Lord. When He referred to the unbearable heaviness on the earth in connection with the Yadu dynasty, He was referring to the burden of their separation. Srila Jiva Goswami confirms this inference. So we have to accept the Shastra. Jiva Goswami, Prabhupada said he is the greatest philosopher ever lived. He's telling us, when the Lord is saying here about the burden of the Yadu dynasty, it's the burden of separation that He's talking about, that the Mother Earth will feel. Just like the same example. The mother will feel great burden if she loses her child. 4-year-old boy playing and suddenly he has an accident of some kind. So this is the burden that is being referred to. Not that the Yadu dynasty is causing. Okay, that's the end of the purport. Any questions so far? What time this class goes to? 9:15. So I have 30. Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Maharaj, this point about Yadus being not a burden for the earth, but their leaving was a burden, burden of separation. So, didn't really understand if they were burden. If their separation was a burden, then why did Lord Krishna make them leave the world?
Because his pastimes were over. They had come to help him perform his pastimes. And now, why did the Lord leave? He himself left, and so naturally he left. His family members also wanted to be with him. So it's very reasonable. They came to associate with the Lord. The Lord left, so they went to be with the Lord.
So for the Yadavas, it was burden to be separated from the Lord,
Yeah.
which they could not bear. So therefore, the Lord took them.
Yeah, so they went.
Not for the earth. It was not burden for the earth.
Huh?
Was it burden for the earth?
That's
or
what. It was a burden of separation for the earth also. She wasn't happy that the Lord was leaving, but he had his pastimes. Just like we have the pastimes of the sun. Sometimes it goes in the north and the south, and you don't feel it so much here in India, but in some countries, in the winters it's dark. It gets dark at 10 o'clock. I mean, doesn't get light till 10 o'clock in the morning, or 11 o'clock even. And it gets dark. So there's a burden of separation from the sun. So that burden is there. But what to do? The only way we can resolve that is to go back home, back to Godhead. The material world is meant, dukkhalayam ashashvatam, to be a place of trouble and temporary. So we should, that's what I'm saying. Everybody thinks they're okay, but they're not okay. Would you ask anybody, are you okay? I'm okay. I would give the example, the man is lying in a bed, he's being fed intravenously. Somebody's collecting his stool and urine. You ask him, how are you? I'm okay. This is called Maya. You're not okay, but you think you are. Maya means that which is not. You're not okay. You're in an awkward position. So we have to somehow convince people. Otherwise they won't take the austerity required. There's some austerity is required. Not a huge amount, but some austerity is required to become a devotee. No illicit sex, no intoxication. For the ordinary people, this is very difficult. So we have to somehow sugarcoat it, but still, they have to come to that point of accepting austerity. Then it becomes joyfully performed. After some time, there's not an austerity. But in the beginning, because of a bad habit, we'll feel some pinching. I want to sleep till 10 o'clock. Why are you waking me up? Because you have to come to Mangalarti, or you have to come to greet the deity. Well, I don't want to. Okay, then you can't live in the temple. This austerity is there. That has to be enforced by the temple. We can't let the temple be just a hotel that people are. Or if they are a hotel, like some of you have hotel workers here, they have to be separate. But for devotees, we should follow. I was impressed this morning. So many people were Mangalarti, chanting japa, and for Guru Puj. So this is the standard. Anything else on that? Anyone else? Question?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, thank you so much for Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, so the question is regarding our surrender to Prabhupada. Like there are so many things we come across in this world, there are so many books, there are so many authors. So the question is, how do we increase our faith in Prabhupada's purports, and how do we look at all the information we get outside also through this purview?
Well, let's go one at a time. How do we increase our faith in Prabhupada's purports? By researching. Read the purport, and then you can go through other verses and so on and see, because Prabhupada is as it is. He's giving Bhagavad Gita as it is. He's not changing the message of the verse. So that's why this particular verse is a little nuanced, because he has to be explained that what's the burden of the earth that the Yadus are going to leave. So Jiva Goswami is giving us the proper understanding. So like that, we don't accept anything blindly. Prabhupada didn't want blind followers. He wanted people who were thoughtfully, independently thoughtful, and that they were convinced in their own heart that this is the best thing for them. We have to be convinced. Otherwise, we can get just blind followers we don't want. Prabhupada wanted everybody to be independently thoughtful and make their own decision. This is the mood of the Brahmin. Brahminical culture is, the Brahmins are, they don't accept everything just blindly. We accept according to Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. Now that also is coming from the Shastra. It's not, we say this is not man-made. Dharma tu shakshat bhagavat pranitam. That the Dharma, or principles of religion, are made by God and coming down in disciplic succession, unbroken line. So this is how we're getting the knowledge. So what's the question again? Is it answered?
Krishna? Yes, Maharaj. The question was, how do we increase our faith in Prabhupada's purpose?
By reading them. And if you find a fault, like people can find a fault with this, but then Prabhupada, in the Prabhupada, he's giving explanation. And from Jiva Goswami and so on. And from logic and reason, everything should be understandable to us. And the other side is, if something we don't understand, we should think it's because my lack of qualification. Because of my being brainwashed into the materialistic way of thinking, so I find this difficult. And if we have that mood, then Krishna will gradually reveal to us more and more. From within also. From within and from without. We'll be convinced. They say Bhaktivinoda Thakur, when he was first coming, he was, Bengali gentleman, but they kind of had a feeling that Krishna was immoral. Dancing with others' wives and so on. So that was an obstacle for him in the very beginning. He confesses to that. But then he saw, because he was so pure and he was so sincere, that Krishna from within revealed himself. That this was actually what I do. I dance with the gopis. It's not immoral. But people can have that idea, right? Why is Krishna dancing with others' wives? Why is he stealing the young girls' clothing and making them come in front of him naked with folded hands? Completely naked. Why is he doing that? Yes, that's a good question, is there? The answer is because he's Param Purush, he's the supreme enjoyer. We're meant to be enjoyed by Krishna. This is our constitutional position. Just like the hand is meant to serve the whole body. It doesn't try to enjoy the food directly. It has no capacity to enjoy the food. It has no taste buds. It can't digest it. But if it cooperates with the whole body, then it gets whatever nourishment it needs. So now we're cut off. And so the mind is our guru. We've been following our mind since time immemorial. Therefore the yogis, they understand this. They concentrate how to control the mind. But by these different systems it's very difficult. Therefore Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us this Maha Mantra. Mantra means mind. So we can get release from the ignorance of the mind, come to the next level of real intelligence, spiritual intelligence, and then the mind will no longer be our enemy. It will be our friend if we have spiritual intelligence. Mind is valuable. We can use it to make plans, how to spread Krishna consciousness. The mind, but you see, the Buddhists and others, they say no. The mind is, if we see the mind, we should kill it. If we meet on the mind on the street. Because they understand the mind is an enemy. But it's just like the Chinese solution. They have it say, if you have a headache, one solution is cut off your head. And that's not a very wise solution. Better to cure your head. So cure your mind. Cure your senses. Then use them in Krishna's service. But they think it's impossible. And it seems to be impossible. But with the right guru, right teaching, our mind can become our best friend. Otherwise it degrades us because it's following the senses. The senses are clamoring. Ear wants to hear something sensuous. Tongue wants to taste something delicious. Eyes want to see beautiful scenery. So like this, we're following our senses. And the mind is going along with it. Mind is the sixth sense. Yes, go to the cinema. Oh, there's a good movie. So we go, running after it, hearing it. The whole world is doing it. You're India also, right? How many people are coming to the temple and compared to the population? Or if they come, it's kind of like just external thing. They come, yes. My mother used to come, so I come. But the real interest is if those of you who are now are sitting and hearing. This is the most important part. To hear regularly the subject from the self-realized soul. So I don't claim to be self-realized, but we can present the self-realized soul, Srila Prabhupada and his purports. And then gradually we become self-realized. Does it work? I got it. So don't be discouraged, because it's a gradual process. We've been accepting our mind as a guru since time immemorial. Now we have to regulate the mind to the back. The mind will protest. Therefore, with intelligence, just like the intelligence is compared to the mother, and the mind is like the 3-year-old child. The mother has to always be watching the child. It's going to get in trouble. It's going to cause trouble to herself or to others. So the intelligent mother is guiding the child. So mind is like that. The child is valuable, the mind is valuable. But it has to be guided by something higher, which is intelligence. Real intelligence means I understand who I actually am. If you don't know who you are, then whatever you do is going to be faulty, unintelligent. So that's the first principle. When Sanat Goswami came to Lord Chaitanya, his first question was, Kayami, who am I? And why am I suffering? He was a big prime minister, everybody accepted him. He was learned, he knew 7 languages and so. They called him Pandit. But he understood, he was humble enough to understand, I don't really know who I am. And why I'm suffering. And what did Lord Chaitanya said? You're the servant of the servant of the servant of the gopis. 100 times removed. And you're suffering because you don't realize this. You think you're independent. Everybody, this is the Maya. Makes you think you're independent. Like we're thinking we're independent. But at every moment, if there's no air, what is our position? We'll be immediately choking. We won't be able to sit and discuss philosophy. So we're dependent at every step, on the sunlight, on food, on the air. But we think we're independent, especially young men, right? Young men have that false thing, I'm okay, and they drive the car. They think they're controlling. And therefore, they have to become brahmachari. Brahmachari is like the leg. He accepts, yes, sir. So it's not easy. I appreciate so many brahmacharis. In America, we don't hardly have any brahmacharis nowadays. The brahmachari is a rare person who's young and male and ready to accept authority. This is the qualification. And it's not easy. I remember coming and thinking, this is the most difficult thing. Illicit sex is difficult, gambling, all these things. But the most difficult thing is, I have to accept some authority. I'm used to doing what I want to do. I was like 26 years old. I had finished university. I was in the Navy. I had finished my tour, 3.5 years. But now I came and these people were telling me that I have to become just a humble servant. And the answer is yes. So it was hard for me at first. But then, after I got to know Prabhupada, I saw that that's what's required. If you want to learn from somebody, you can't be challenging at every moment. So what does Bhagavad Gita say? Submissive inquiry and service mood. This is the qualification of the disciple. So I became humble by Prabhupada's mercy. Sometimes by chastisement, sometimes by encouragement. Just like I was telling the story how Prabhupada helped me in so many ways. So how could I give up his service? He gave me tangible help. So that I felt indebted to him, that he had helped me and it was tangible, something I could see in my life, that I was a better person because of. And I was happier with myself because I was able to control my senses by Prabhupada's mercy. So then we become spontaneous devotees. After some time, we will become so convinced that we wouldn't think of leaving Krishna consciousness. Okay, any other?
So Maharaj, when any personality leaves this world or ends his pastime, then his absence is felt because we lose the guidance, encouragement. So when Prabhupada was there, you could take the shelter, but how you managed to hold on to the process after Prabhupada ended his pastime?
But I don't feel there is any after Prabhupada. That he's there and he's ready to help me. He came to me in dream when I was in difficulty. And he's there in his purports, just like Prabhupada writes. The one purport is there where Prabhupada is mentioning about Narada Muni. He's coming to speak to his disciple Vyasadeva. Because Vyasadeva was a little despondent, even though he had compiled so many books. So Narada Muni came and told him he should write one book solely and wholly dealing with the Lord. And so he wrote this Srimad Bhagavatam. So when we read that section, in one place Prabhupada says, Narada Muni has kindly appeared on the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada was able to see that Narada Muni was there on the pages. So if we become lovers of Prabhupada, we'll see that he's here in his purports. So then you don't feel lost. We feel a loss because we don't have the vapu. The two things, right? Vani and vapu. We don't have his physical association, but we have his instructions, which is more important. We see that so many people are following because of hearing from Prabhupada through his books. So in that sense, Prabhupada is still with us. His books are there. And his followers, and we should be able to get help from them so that our faith remains. We have a right to question. We have a duty to question. But when the questions are answered, we should accept. That's why we always say, what's your question? We're ready to ask, intelligent questions are appreciated. So he's asking a good question. What do we do when Prabhupada leaves? But he doesn't leave in the other sense. He's here in his books. He'll always be there for the next 10,000 years. I was in a car with Srila Prabhupada. We were coming back from a morning walk in Los Angeles. And we came back a different way. The devotees didn't see us. They were all on the street waiting for Prabhupada, but they were looking the other way. And the car came behind them. And when Prabhupada saw all the devotees there waiting for him, and suddenly he spoke. Prabhupada was in a car in the front seat and the driver, and there were 3 sannyasis in the back. I was one of them. And he said, with full conviction, from deep in the core of his heart, he said, they cannot check this movement. This movement will go unchecked for the next 10,000 years. And there, Prabhupada is giving us. Just work together, like he said. Cooperate together. Keep the Acharya in the center. In all our temples, Prabhupada is there. We only read from Prabhupada's books. Keep the Acharya in the center, and this movement will go on. 10,000 years. Of course, in 10,000 years, we'll already be back to Godhead. We don't have to wait 10,000 years. No sleeping in class, ladies. Okay? Any other questions? Then we can stop. I think it's enough, huh? I could tell another pastime. I've written a book of my exchange with Srila Prabhupada. I think my disciple has some of those books. What's the name of the book? Priceless Moments with the Pure Devotee. So let me tell another quick story that I personally experienced with Srila Prabhupada. We were with Prabhupada in Vrindavan. It was in 74, 6 months before they opened the Vrindavan temple. I had come there as a sannyas, come because of, we thought it was going to, John Master was supposed to be the opening, but they moved it to Ram Navami. So anyway, when I came, Prabhupada was sitting on the roof. At that time in Juhu there was they didn't have Prabhupada's quarters finished. So he was staying, and on the roof he was having darshan, maybe 30, 40 people. So I had my danda, I came. So he kind of called to me before I came in directly in front of him. I was walking towards him on the roof. And he said, "So, Trivikrama Swami, you're convinced?" And he said it with such conviction. I said, "Yes, Srila Prabhupada." "Yes, we must be convinced." He came back immediately. That was Prabhupada's mode. He was so convinced that he made us convinced. Why not be convinced? What's the doubt? So, we can associate Prabhupada. He'll remove our doubts. You'll find in the purpose all your questions are there and the answers are given. Just take the time to read carefully and thoroughly all of Prabhupada's books. How many of you have finished all of Prabhupada's books? All of Prabhupada's books that he gave us. You read them all? Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto to 10th canto, 9th, well 10th canto also, Prabhupada is there. In the beginning of 10th canto. And then, what other books? Nectar Devotion. What other books Prabhupada gave us? Ishopanishad, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavad Gita. So we have so much to do. You can read Prabhupada's books. And my experience is I'm reading them again because I'm giving classes. And it's always new. And wonderful information comes again to the surface. Prabhupada's books. We can read over and over. But at least everybody should read one time. Okay, what are we doing now? Oh.
Quick announcement about books.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, devotees. So we have a book by His Holiness Trivikrama Swami Maharaj. It's called Priceless Moments with a Pure Devotee. Maharaj has quite a bit of association with Srila Prabhupada, starting from 1968 and until 1977, until Prabhupada was on this planet. So many services Maharaj had an opportunity to render to Srila Prabhupada, like massaging, driving, and taking assignments from Srila Prabhupada and going to different parts of the world, and so many exchanges. They are very nectarian. So many senior Vaishnavas across the world in ISKCON have received it very favorably, and they have been appreciating this book quite a lot, including His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, Jayapataka Maharaj, Shrutakirti Prabhu, Bhakti Vikas Maharaj, Indradumna Maharaj, and the list goes on. It's been widely appreciated all over the world. Any devotees who would like to receive a copy of the book from Maharaj, Maharaj will be gladly sign it with his own hands. So, devotees, if you are interested...
Okay, why don't we do that tonight? I'll be here again. If you want a book, you can... But I don't want to get into this signing.
Yes.
I'd rather finish this class. If there's any other questions, because we have still 30 minutes of class, isn't it?
No.
Hare Krishna.
Huh?
5 minutes.
5 minutes?
Hare Krishna.
So in 5 minutes, any more philosophical questions from the ladies' side, anything? We have to be convinced of this philosophy, and then we can convince others. If we're not sure, just like Prabhupada challenged me, So you're convinced, Trivikrama Swami, you're convinced? Yes, Srila Prabhupada. We have to be convinced. And that means we have to, some authority, because people can puncture that conviction by saying, oh no, this is, what about this? What? We have to be conversant with the principles of Krishna consciousness in order to preach properly. If we're not convinced, then we'll be carried away by the doubters. Doubters are in prominence here. The atheists, they're very prominent in the world. Because Kali Yuga, in the Satya Yuga there was no atheists. But in this age, it's common to be atheists. So we have to meet them. And the atheists in our own mind also, in our own heart. Have to root it out and cleanse it and be convinced 100%. Then we can say, we can stand. Like Prabhupada, he was so convinced he could come and challenge the whole world. One man coming to New York City. And then there was an instance, right, where one of the devotees was preaching, but his parents didn't like it. It was a lady. She was 21 years old, so she was considered an adult. But the parents hired brainwashers and they kidnapped her and made her, eat meat and things like that. But she went along with them, but then she left and she came immediately back to the temple. And the parents had hired people to kidnap her. So we advised her that she should put a case against her parents for kidnapping. And she did that. But it came into the court, I hope I have it right, I think it was the other way. But anyway, the district attorney in New York, he put a case against her for, or he challenged her that she had no case, something like that. But Prabhupada took it, when he heard about it, he took it as a challenge. He said, now they are feeling my weight. I went to New York, one person alone, their city of New York. But now they're feeling the weight of my movement. And then he was counseling us how to deal with it in the court, what to say. But it didn't even come to the court because the judge threw it out. He said, this is a bona fide religion. Because we got so many religious people, they wrote to the friendly briefings on the side of ISKCON, and it never became a case. They dismissed it. They were trying to prove that we brainwashed the girl. Sometimes Prabhupada would say, yes, we brainwash her. Your brain needs washing. Full of dirty things. So this is the movement to cleanse your heart. So my book is there. You can speak to him, but I'm not going to sign any books right now.
Maharaj is here until Sunday evening. So
yeah,
tomorrow,
so there's plenty of time. Listen.
So tomorrow also there will be Bhagavatam class, and on Sunday there will be evening Bhagavad Gita class. So devotees can kindly take
Srimad
advantage of
Bhagavatam
this
ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.
session.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maharaj. We'll express our gratitude to Maharaj by loudly chanting 3 times. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. So those who want these books, they can come and take books from, his name is Nanda Dulal. Nanda Dulal Prabhu.